Hi, Naima. Naima, are you there? Naima. Welcome everyone to Soul Purpose Healing. I'm already having challenges with Blog Talk tonight, so I'm not really sure if you're going to be able to hear everything on Facebook and YouTube that I play on the Blog Talk Studio. So I'm on Direct Connect tonight, which I haven't used in quite a while. But welcome. We'll give it a try. A little experiment here to see what goes right and what goes wrong. I guess there's no right or wrong, but welcome to Soul Purpose Healing. And I've got some people in the Blog Talk studio. So I trust that they can hear me. But the question will be whether I can be heard on Facebook and YouTube, because usually there's a disconnect with YouTube and Facebook when I'm on Direct Connect. So here we go. Tonight we're talking about melanin, the magic and power of melanin and mushrooms. So I'll look for some feedback from my listeners to see if they can hear me or not. And we'll try to make any adjustments to that. Okay. Yes. Oh, yes, I can hear you. Okay. Eddie says he can hear me. Let's see, where's Eddie? I guess Eddie must be. Eddie, are you on Facebook or YouTube? Okay, Mama AZ has her hand up. We're going to do a test here. Mama AZ, your hand is up. We're doing a mic test. Can you hear me? Yes. Now, the question is whether my music or my audios are going to be able to be heard on YouTube and Facebook. So if you're on, okay, no problem. Thank you, sister. I appreciate your feedback. So we're going to proceed and see what happens because I've got lots of audios that I uploaded on my Blog Talk Studio audio clips, but I do have the video on StreamYard as well. So if all goes well, you can hear on both platforms. If not, we'll try and make some adjustments. Let me see. Let's see, Naima, we can hear you on Blog Talk and Facebook. You're also on Air Radio Network 7. Great, great. Now the test will be when I play the audios on Blog Talk, whether, you know what, I think I'm going to have to just play I'm not sure, the video on Facebook and YouTube, and hope that they can hear it on Blog Talk. This is going to be interesting because usually I don't do unless they fix that problem. We'll see. Maybe Blog Talk fixed the direct connect problem that we were having. Anyway, we'll see. I'm going to give it a try. The reason that we're talking about melanin, I guess some of you might be able to guess, but I listened to a discussion by a woman by the name Lynn McTaggart, I think her name is, and Bruce Lipton, and I forget the other guy's name, another guy, Bruce Lipton, Greg Braden, and Lynn McTaggart. They were talking about like the all the topics that have been discussed for the last 2 months. And Bruce Lipton mentioned Chernobyl. How many of you out there know what Chernobyl represents? So a little history about that. In 1986, a nuclear plant at Chernobyl in the Ukraine exploded. And it released a large amount of radiation into the atmosphere. So you may remember it was a disaster. They had to close the plant down and shut it down. And what I discovered was 3 years later, Bruce Lipton brought out the fact that 3 years later, they found a black fungus growing in the plant. Now, they were surprised because usually you think radiation will kill everything. Nah, not so. They found a fungus growing in there. And guess what the black fungus is full of? Full of melanin. So we're going to go deep into why is it that melanin is so powerful and so magical, especially when you look at the destruction that radiation can bring to a community, a city, a plant, in this case. Out of the destruction can come life-giving elements. And that's what we pray for the Ukraine situation, as well as Palestine, that out of all that destruction, there will become a magical, powerful presence of melanin and mushrooms. That's what we're talking about tonight. We're going deep with the power of melanin and mushrooms. And somehow they're all connected. It's all connected. You wouldn't even know unless you are listening, not only to spirit, but listening to discussions from conscious, spiritual, enlightened individuals. So I want to start with a little history about Chernobyl, because this is just fascinating how 1986, and today, by the way, we're in a number 3. So a number 3 is powerful to bring us all together in unity. And another aspect of our discussion tonight about melanin, I found this beautiful picture to put on my flyer this evening of all the beautiful shades of melanin in people. And what I see a lot of is that there is a lack of love for people, many people with dark skin. Oh my goodness, I just feel sad that some of the people I see who have the more melanin, They have more power, more magic in them, and yet they're almost ashamed of it. They're trying to cover it over. I see all this makeup on some women, and not men so much, but I see a lot of makeup on women. And here's a question that came up on my Facebook page by a doctor. She's a psychologist, and she was asking. She said she didn't understand why a woman got upset when her partner told her she looked better without makeup. Her partner told her she was beautiful without makeup, and she was offended by that. And this person who posted this question, she didn't understand why this woman was offended. You're not in class on Friday morning, sweetheart. That's why you don't understand. You don't understand because you're not in touch with the ACEs, the adverse childhood experiences that many adults, I would say most adults, go through, that causes them in their adult life to have low self-esteem. And especially women or men who have a lot of melanin in their body, that their skin is just oozing with magic and power of melanin. I love it. I love it when I see it. There's some pictures of men and women on the internet with blue black skin, and you just like, wow, nature is amazing, amazing. But when I see some of the women and men with the lot that have the magic and power of melanin, ah, they're not happy. They're not happy, and they're not energetically showing the magic and the power of who they are. So I hope tonight that we can bring up the energy level and the self esteem of anyone out there who is not in touch with the magic and power of their rich, rich melanin skin, because it is powerful and magical. And that's what we're going to talk about tonight. And I've got several audios to describe the magic and power of melanin and the mushrooms, the fungus. The fungus is powerful. And we kind of we're afraid of the mushrooms. We're afraid of the melanin. We don't want to shine in our dark skin, those who have the darker power and magic. I look at dark skin individuals now having a lot of magic and power in them, and they don't realize it. They are not aware. They are unconsciously depressed, sad, whatever. I look at it, I see the energy, I feel the energy of my brothers and sisters who have magic and power melanin, and they're not proud of it. They're not glowing with it. So tonight, one of our intentions is to raise the empowerment in those individuals who might be ashamed of their dark melanin skin, to raise the frequency of joy and love and appreciation and gratitude for the magic and power of melanin. Okay, because it can do magical things, and it's powerful to heal and do all sorts of things. When you hear from some of the people I've gathered tonight, you'll understand more and more why every one of us, and everyone has melanin, by the way, even Europeans have melanin, because it was in the biological process of birth and pregnancy. It was in every human being. The genes, however, that people get from their parents is what determines how much melanin they're going to have. Melanin, the crystallization of melanin, and so forth and so forth. So let's first start off with Chernobyl, a little history. I always like to start off with a little history about our topic and why everything is not bad, good, wrong, right. When we are moving into the fourth and fifth dimension, there's no duality of wrong, right, good, bad. And I heard that mentioned today by someone on our conference call. There was a mention of bad and wrong. And really, when we recognize the magic and power of melanin tonight, you're going to realize that even that Chernobyl incident was not all bad, because it helped the creator, it helped spirit, it helped the universe point out to us the magic and power of melanin and mushrooms. So let's go ahead and look at the Chernobyl. Let me know if you can hear.
Out that it actually boosted the growth of the fungi 3 times faster than normal. That melanin, crucial to this whole equation, increased the fungi metabolic reactions. This isn't something very odd. Melanin has been referred to as fungal armor, acting as a protection agent for microorganisms against a huge spectrum of toxic factors. There's also another word for fungi that eats radiation. They are called radiotrophic. As I said before, they are not only resisting the radiation, but they are actually using it to stimulate their growth. We can basically tell today that radiation and melanin are crucial to this, but we can't yet tell how exactly this works. Fungi can be mixing up many are capable of using the radiation to their benefit. But it will probably take years before we will be able to precisely tell how this happens. But we are getting closer. Since its discovery in 1991, researchers have already patented the method of increasing the melanin content to enhance the whole process. And thanks to their discoveries, they even moved the theory further. They hypothesized that radiosynthesis could have played a huge role in the early development of life on Earth. But here comes the astrofungi. Since 2018, NASA is conducting various experiments, including those on ISS, so International Space Station. They want to check if the rat-munching fungi can act as a barrier during out-of-Earth missions. But since we are talking about using those organisms to our advantage, they could potentially help not only in outer space. Of course, it could take years or even decades before we'll get any actual results, but these fungi are already looked into, for example, as a new food source. And don't imagine them being deep fried in a KFC coating, but researchers are trying to figure out if the fungi could be used as, for example, high-altitude biofuel or a nutrition source. One of the other hypothesized uses is cleaning their radioactive waste. You get it, right? People don't like radiation, fungi like radiation. People have radioactive waste, but don't want it, and fungi don't have radioactive waste, but could want it. So, win-win situation. The last idea is especially intriguing, as the mentioned American scientists discovered that those fungi grow a lot in an environment where the radiation level was 500 times higher than normal. Even a short exposure, around 20 to 40 minutes, almost instantly altered the chemical properties of melanin and increased some processes that involve it in those fungi. I only hope that we won't wake up to see some 100-meter tall walking and talking angry fungi. I mean, come on. Godzilla is enough. As it always is, the nature doesn't like lack of balance. The radiation-growing fungi grew slower than its regular cousins when there wasn't any radiation source, or at least when the radiation levels were basically normal. This may also mean that, however, those fungi adapted to living in such a hostile environment, they actually had to pay some price for it. And without the extreme part, they are just less active and they are not as good at getting food from more neutral sources as their other family members. Another interesting fact is that in 2007, one of the scientists looking into our rat-friendly fungi told Scientific American that in various commercial nuclear reactors, the water used in the facility, the radioactive one, becomes contaminated with melanotic organisms with black pigmentation. So, very similar to Chernobyl fungi. Well, if we will use them and feed them with radiation, let's just hope those fungi won't revolt at some point in the future and won't claim some radioactive planet in the nearest neighborhood. That's it for today, guys. I hope you like this kind of popular science videos. We enjoyed making it, so let us know if we should prepare more. Take care, and see you next week.
Here with a unique, unheard of ingredient.
I had no idea what it was. I thought it was a bean.
You can't really find chaga coffee very easily, especially here in Maine.
Chaga, a rare mushroom-like fungus found on birch trees in cold northern climates.
I started putting it in my coffee a few years back.
It's a superfood growing in popularity, often added to drinks. Some say chaga can help boost your immune system and give an overall system balance.
I think chaga has benefits to just about anybody.
People get excited.
Nutritionist Sarah Sullivan has a bit of chaga every day.
It has been used for centuries in Russia for purifying, detoxifying, and healing properties.
There's limited medical data about how helpful chaga can be.
Chaga tea.
But that's not slowing the trend. And like other supplements, Sullivan says more isn't always better.
And as these superfoods come into the consciousness of the Western world, we want to make sure we don't overharvest and destroy what's so special about them.
It takes about 3 or 4 years for a chaga to get to be 5 pounds, so the slow-growing fungus doesn't come back very quickly. And since it's sucking the life out of the birch tree as it grows, there's concern about chaga getting wiped out before modern science can figure out how it can help.
I worry about overharvesting, particularly in the southern and eastern part of Maine and further south in the country, because it's increasingly less common the further south you go.
Greg Marley is a mycologist, a fungi guru.
We've got a growth of chaga, and it looks like here you can see it. There was probably a larger one here that someone may have harvested.
He says this growth has probably been here about 15 years, and he finds sites like this often. Chaga cut out from the trees.
You can feel this is almost corky. It's not as woody on the inside. You know, chaga is being touted for all of these uses, and so the cost is quite high. People say, I can make a good living collecting chaga.
But the slow-growing gem can be killed if it's not collected properly.
People really need to be thoughtful and responsible in terms of harvesting.
Our biggest customers for that.
That's what's on the mind of Rainey Guay, owner of Jackman's Chaga Mountain. It's a local company that found a spot in a market as unique as chaga itself.
There was nobody else selling it.
He only works with a few trusted harvesters, his inventory ranging from lotions to chaga extracts to lip balms.
This is our tea bags.
So popular, he's made a deal to sell them at stores in Canada. He's struck gold, but there's no telling how long the supply could last. Whether you think chaga cures a disease, it fights off a cold, or if it just tastes good, the growing popularity of the mushroom could make it harder to find in the future. In the woods of Maine, Kyle Jones, WMTW News 8.
Now, how many of you are familiar with the power of mushrooms? Craig, who is in the Facebook studio, says coming in good. Now, thank you. I was actually on mute because I was trying to talk to my Blog Talk friends to say, go to YouTube. But anyway, I'm going to text them since I'm not using my phone tonight. But Craig says chaga and reishi are known to put cancer in remission. Now, here's the really funny thing about that. Radiation is thought to contribute to the growth of cancer. That's why so many people who were working at Chernobyl, Ukraine in 1986 were believed to have maybe caught cancer and maybe not, because now it's questionable whether radiation causes the cancer. Because if chaga and reishi, which has melanin in it, can put cancer in remission, what's really going on? And that's what we're going to explore tonight, how the power and the magic of mushrooms and melanin work together to not cause disease so much, but actually to put it in remission. And that's the discovery that was made by the scientists who went to Chernobyl 3 years after that incident, and who now. No, I don't want him. Sorry. After the event, after that terrible event, they traveled to Chernobyl and did some tests, and they found melanin and fungi. So they are working together. So we're going to be exploring the magic and power of both of these things, fungi and melanin, and how they actually can work together to put things in remission versus causing disease. We've been so misinformed about so many things that this is our year of
is. And I'm going to teach you guys today. Don't worry, you don't have to be walking around here ignorant. No, I'm playing. I'm sure that if you think that melanin is just something that gives your body its brown color, that you're going to learn something new today. So, and I'm going to teach y'all, okay? All right. Okay, I am a molecular biologist and science communicator, and I am going to teach you about melanin today. The word melanin has a Greek root from melas, and that means dark or black. And melanin itself is an umbrella term for pigments that are naturally occurring in organisms. What a lot of people don't know about melanin is that there's just not one type. Like when we say melanin magic, when we say melanin poppin', we're usually only talking about one type of melanin, and that is the melanin that produces like brown and black pigments, and that's eumelanin. But there's two other types of melanin. There's pheomelanin, which is largely responsible for producing red to yellow pigments, and then there's also neuromelanin, which plays a different role in the body. I'm gonna talk about that later because that one is a little complicated. Let's first talk about where melanin comes from, what it does, and then I'm gonna get into like the specific types of melanin. In human skin, melanogenesis, which is a big word for creation of melanin, that is caused by or triggered by exposure to UV radiation. And where is the biggest source of UV radiation on this planet? It is from the sun. So our sun produces UV rays, it penetrates our atmosphere, and it hits all of these surfaces on our planet, including human skin. When UV rays come into contact with human skin, our melanocytes, which are cells that produce melanin, start to make melanin. And that is why when we sit out in the sun for long periods of time, we get darker, we tan. Even I tan. Melanin is an effective absorbent of light. It actually is able to dissipate 99.9% of UV radiation. Because of this, we think that melanin might play a really big role in photoprotection, protecting our skin cells, our melanocytes from DNA damage. UV light, if it hits our DNA, can cause damage to our DNA, which in turn can create cancer. So if our bodies are producing melanin, that means more protection potentially. We're still trying to understand that relationship between photoprotection and skin pigmentation, but there's good evidence out there that a deeper skin pigmentation could play a role in photoprotection. Melanin is not just found in the skin, it's actually found in places like our hair, it's found in our eyes, even in our brain stems, and also even in our adrenal gland, which sits on top of our kidney. Isn't that crazy? However, not all of us produce the same types of melanin or same levels of melanin. You may have heard of albinism or have seen someone who is albino, and that is someone that produces very little to no melanin. Therefore, their skin pigmentation is often very, very light, if not white. Back to what I was saying earlier, there are three main types of melanin: eumelanin, pheomelanin, and neuromelanin. Both pheomelanin and eumelanin are found in human skin and hair, but eumelanin is the most common type of pigment found in humans. And in folks who have albinism, eumelanin is most likely the type of melanin that they are lacking. So let's talk more about eumelanin. Eumelanin, which comes in two pigments, brown and black. Y'all have seen eumelanin in action in many different ways, not just in our skin, but even our hair. Remember I said melanin is not just found in our skin, it's localized in other parts of our bodies. As we get older, our bodies stop producing as much brown eumelanin, and when that happens, our hair turns gray. A small amount of brown eumelanin in the absence of other pigments creates blonde hair. So if you can kind of think of melanin as an equation where there's different colors, or maybe even think about art where you have different colors and you're putting colors in, you're mixing colors together, taking away some colors, you get different pigments, you get different hues. I'm probably not using the correct art terms. Please forgive me. And if you are an art person, correct me down in the comments. Y'all see what I'm saying? You get different shades, hues, pigments, colors. You get all of these different combinations. And that is the beauty of the diversity of the human spectrum of how we look. Varying shades of skin colors are all a reflection of the different amounts of the types of melanin that are produced in our bodies. Pheomelanins are responsible for red to yellow pigmentation. Pheomelanin is most commonly concentrated in our lips. So inside of my lips are pink. I put pink lipstick on, but if you look in my mouth's pink. And it's also concentrated in our genital areas, okay? So I don't even really want to talk about that, but y'all got Google. Different parts of our bodies are also pink, and that is because of pheomelanin. Let's go back to the hair example. You have a small bit of brown eumelanin and a little bit of red pheomelanin, and together actually produces that orangey red color, or that ginger color, as some people like to call it. Redheads, that's what's going on with y'all. Pheomelanin is also present in the skin, which is why usually when people have red hair, their skin is also a little bit pink as well. That's the pheomelanin in action. So we talked about eumelanin, which produces black to brown pigmentation. We talked about pheomelanin, which produces red to yellow pigmentation. Now we're gonna get to the oddball, and that is neuromelanin, which is produced in the brain. Scientists are still working to pin down what exactly the biological function of neuromelanin is. We know it's a dark pigment. We know it's produced in the brain. We also know that humans have the largest amount of neuromelanin, and other primates have smaller amounts. It's actually found to be totally absent in other species thus far. So that definitely says something, but we're not really sure. There are some studies going on linking it to Parkinson's disease, which is really cool. I'll link some of those studies down below if you're a fellow scientist and you want to read into it. I welcome that. Welcome any cool discussions about any of this stuff, guys. It's super interesting. Let's talk really quick about what melanin does for organisms that are not humans. Y'all ever seen a squid or octopus, cephalopods in general, squirt out ink? That dark stuff that squirts out when they are running away from predators, etc. That's made up of mostly melanin. Organisms of other species have also used melanin as a protective or defensive thing. Bacteria and fungi have also used melanin to protect themselves from UV radiation. In invertebrates, melanin actually plays a big role in their immune system, in that when they have a pathogen that is coming into their bodies, they'll actually coat the pathogen with melanin and kill it. I talked a lot about melanin itself in this video, but if you are interested in learning about how humans have evolved skin color over thousands of years and why I'm brown and somebody else is pink or why somebody else is more orange, etc., and how those colors have developed over time, I want you to watch the next video that I'm coming out with. If it's already out, then I'm going to link it after this video. I'm going to put the card up here and you guys can click on it and keep learning about the evolution of skin color over the past thousands of years. It's really interesting, so don't miss it. Let me know any of your questions down.
Okay, that sister is so good. I love her her education, her teaching. And I hope those of you who are rich in melanin tonight, that you are starting to feel the magic and the power of your dark skin. And I hope all of us are beginning to really understand the power that this molecule has in our nature. And as I said, fungus is just as important. When you look at mushrooms, you should not look at a mushroom again in any other way now, but to have love and for the magic and power that it gives us. But I do have another teaching by Dr. Sheik. I cannot pronounce this. This woman is so powerful. This is a guy. Dr. Sheik Anita Diop, a woman. The power of melanin. I think you're gonna just love this teaching, because he goes even deeper than the sister did into the power of melanin, so that all of us, every human being has melanin in us. we do no longer have to submit to the powers of these crazy elites, let's say pale elites, because all of them, they're very poor in melanin, the ones who are trying to control us. But this brother is gonna really, I hope, enlighten you and show you more of the power of this beautiful molecule called melanin. Ooh, pretty, pretty, pretty. Mwah, mwah, mwah.
Well, Shank Anta Diop was an example of what I talk about when I say you have to know the 5 domains. I mean, he was a physicist, a chemist, a scientist, a linguist, a historian. So he embodied almost all of those. He just, he didn't do the astronomy part, you know, and but he embodied almost all those things that I talk about that you need to master. So he became like my Jegna in terms of a prototype of how I need to fashion my skills. Because when he came to UNESCO in 1974 and challenged all of UNESCO, all the white scholars, I mean, him and Thea Bingo came in ready. They came in with their books and all the sciences, paleontology, anthropology, archaeology. You know, they had all of this stuff. And the Europeans didn't have nothing. They just came with their whiteness. They didn't have no documentation, no nothing. So Thea Bingo them blew them out of the water. So that showed me, to me, that was the epitome of symptomatic thinking. I can prove everything that I state and that I can back up. So that became a profound influence for me, you know. And then when he talked to Dr. Jacob Brothers and said that we don't learn them to do lecture, we're not even serious. Because you're going to the wolf that asks, how do we rabbits avoid being eaten? And the wolf gonna say, well, take this path, and when you see a cave, rest up in there first, you know, and that's the wolf did, you know, and get your PhD there so that Carter G. Woodson said that our most educated blacks will be our new enslavers.
Hey guys, it's Tony Robbins. Look, it's January, it's a new year, it's a new life. And by now,
that the European master can go to sleep and his house will still be taken care of. Because we like, master, we sick? Master, our house on fire? Malcolm said they won't even let you near the plant. He's talking about our house. We sick, okay. And so Diop set the bar for me. That's being a linguist. I mean, he was doing DNA testing. He can prove the melanin context of the mummy. So he didn't just come and say, this black because they look black on the wall. He was like, give me a tip. All I need is just a centimeter, just a tissue, and I can prove, because it takes millions of years for melanin to break down. And then he did the scientific formula of what melanin does. And you know, there's been melanin conferences among the European Jews since 1936. Because many of the diseases they have, melanin will cure it. It's the lack of melanin that, and their incest and things like that. But melanin is the root that can help cure many of these. So they've been having, no black people invited, but melanin conferences on black people since 1936. So we have to understand. So when we started our little melanin conference, they were kind of like Mickey Mouse conferences compared to what the Europeans were doing with melanin conference. And we know that melanin is the most powerful molecule in the animal domain. Melanin is to humans like chlorophyll is to plants, like carbon is to minerals. And so even when Asar is depicted green, he's not called the Great Green, he's called the Great Black. Green and black are synonymous with life. Nobody has the capacity to do what we can do. So that's why we learned basketball and we took it over. We learned football, we became the best. Everything we do, we learned, you know, their way of music like that, we took it over, we became. America's only classical music is jazz in African music. The instruments, sound, we imitated nature. We took it over. We could imitate any sound we heard in nature. Sometimes we could even do it with our voice. And then we developed the instruments. So these strands of DNA separate us from everybody. I know they want to say, and Dr. Laila Africa used to prove He said, even if you went and said that we're all the same in the inside, he said, that's wrong. The African internally is totally different from the European internally. Our bone structure. That's why you can take a bone. My daughter has a master's in cultural anthropology and forensic work. They can take a bone and by examining it, tell it there's the African or European. By its constituency, how it was made up, its constituency, its power. They can tell, they can even tell the cause of death from examining a bone of that, you know. So the African internal structure is different. So what Lila Africa was trying to show you is that the medicine that's in the pharmacy is all geared towards a European male. And what they need and what we need is totally two different dosages. You know, he's saying that if diabetes scale is, if normal is 80 to 120, and you got 110 and you're African, you might have diabetes already. Because what's normal for them is not necessarily normal for us. And when they say you need one pill, we might need 3. Or just the opposite. They need 2, we need 1, you know. But it's not the same dosage that they're, everything that they do is based upon a white albino, a white male. And so we got to look at medicine totally different. But I know we don't do that. But that's why we're the sickest people in America. One of the richest countries, the most long-lived of people now have the shortest lifespan. There's something wrong with that formula. And I say culture is our medicine. So once you go back to your culture, you start eating culturally, you start thinking culturally, you're around people who are thinking like you are. So the endorphins that are being emitted is powerful because there's gratitude. I can't wait for the next day, so my stress level is really down. I'm getting plenty of vitamin C. That's why I'm out there almost every day. I'm getting my vitamin D on. The #1 cause of stress is a lack of vitamin D. Vitamin D breaks down the immune system. And so every black who lives above Florida got a vitamin D deficiency unless you're outside 5 to 6 hours a day. Outside of being a farmer, who do you notice out there 5 or 6 hours a day? So 95% of all black people in America got a vitamin D deficiency. So that means you don't handle stress well. And who's the most stressful people in America? The black male. So there's a ordinance goes out that we shouldn't even pay Social Security because we don't live long enough to collect it. I'm just honored. I'm in the mid-70s. I'm one of the rare few, my colleagues, and graduated from high school. I got one black person who graduated from, no, two black people who graduated from high school is still alive, who graduated in my class. So we had to change the way we think. So my brother, this is a whole way of life, this study. And when I study how great Mentuhotep is, Imhotep, and all of these other, that's inspiration. And I want our young people to know that. I want it recorded. I want it to be recorded. I want them to be able to take this information and run with it. I want them to, what they do with a basketball, I want them to do that in the computer room, in the corporate headquarters. You know? Whoa, those numbers is off the chart. They just slammed the Wall Street. You know, that's what I want brothers to do. You remember Eddie Murphy when he did Trading Places? And he says, oh, you guys ain't nothing but a bunch of bookies. Oh, I know what's going to happen. And he was like an Ian Putty commercial. He wanted it because he understood the street. He understood that, you know. So they don't want you in that room, that corporate world. So, brothers, I say thank you very much for allowing me to share this time with y'all.
So that was a brother who is very passionate about Hassan Salim, okay? Empress Regina says Hassan Salim. Yes, that's correct. And I'd love to hear, unfortunately, I can't hear from you on Blog Talk because it's not the volume. We're not connecting tonight. Blog Talk Radio and my YouTube and Facebook are not connecting tonight because Blog Talk refused to take my pen from my phone. So that's why we're on YouTube and Facebook only, which means I can take all your comments here and read them out, and we can talk about this beautiful, beautiful power and magic of melanin and fungus. So I have another, a couple of more informations about melanin, and then we can go into the fungus information if you're tired of melanin. But I won't be able to take calls. Well, I can take calls, but you can't hear me you can't hear the videos when I play them if you're in the studio, Blog Talk studio. The glitch that has happened before, and I had no problem with it as long as I could use my phone to put in my host pin, but tonight the operator would not take my host pin. So this is where we are. So thank you, all of you in Blog Talk Radio. You can hear my voice maybe, but you're not going to be able to hear my audios as they're played unless I could somehow, there's no way I can play them in the Blog Talk studio and in YouTube and Facebook without having a really bad echo. So I'm going to go ahead and play another audio for you about, it's a really short one, 2.5 minutes, the electronic wonders of mind. I found so many really good, so much good information about melanin that I want to just flood you with that, and then hear your comments about your own experiences with melanin and either realizing the power and the magic of melanin or not. How has your journey been in terms of this powerful melanin? Let's see, electronic wonders here. This powerful melanin. What has your journey been like in experiencing this powerful electronic?
Melanin is a versatile molecule. Not only is it responsible for giving us our UV blocking complexion, at the cellular level, it gobbles up harmful radicals that lead to diseases such as cancer and Parkinson's. But that's only the beginning. Over the past decades, researchers have focused on what might be melanin's most promising talent yet discovered: the ability to conduct electricity. That's important, because if we fancy a future where environmentally benign electronics help us fight disease, monitor our health, and store energy, we're going to need bio-friendly materials. And what better material for the job than one made right in-house? This is melanin in its most common form. When it comes to electrical charge, melanin acts as a sort of bank, always ready to lend out or take electrons depending on the environment. Chained together, as they naturally tend to do, melanin molecules can shuffle electrons and surrounding ions end to end. The result is an all-natural electrode material. In terms of performance, it's not on par with the electronic materials we find in our phones and laptops. But because melanin is 100% compatible with our body's makeup, it's a much safer starting material for building electronic devices, both for us and the environment. Researchers have shown that melanin can act as a switch when sandwiched between metal electrodes, turning on and off under different applied voltages. It seems like a simple trick, but that switching behavior is critical to the operation of any computing device. Polydopamine, a synthetic melanin analog, has been used to extract harmful metal ions from water, and polydopamine-coated nanoparticles have been shown to boost the sensitivity of tests designed to seek out diseases like HIV, Zika, and cancer. Researchers are still learning how melanin behaves when surrounded by the machinery that makes useful electronics work. But continued efforts from chemists, physicists, and materials scientists are likely to result in exciting new applications for this highly versatile molecule.
So once again, we're looking at something that is so awesome that the creator has given us for more than just our skin color, more than just our hair. In fact, here's one more audio about how melanin is a semiconductor. It just goes on and on. The more you look at the purpose of melanin and all the different functions, it just amazes me that we have taken it for granted in some ways and just taken it lightly. But here's a sister that just brings out another scientific truth about what melanin is. A semiconductor and a crystal.
Exploring it as a semiconductor for implantable bioelectronics to treat diseases like Parkinson's. My mind was blown. This is Wakanda. And so let me explain to you what this all means. It sounds like a lot, but it's actually really cool. Electricity is all about the flow of electrons, which are these teeny tiny charged particles. These charged particles move through a material called a conductor. Conductors, like metals, let electrons move freely, while insulators, like rubber or plastic, stop electron flow. Melanin, it's not just a pigment that gives us our skin, hair color, eye color. It's actually a complex molecule with unique properties that researchers are discovering could revolutionize the field of bioelectronics. It's super cool. Bioelectronics are a class of medical devices that use electrical signals to interact with our body's biological system. These devices often involve advanced materials like semiconductors or biocompatible materials to help electronic components communicate with living tissues. Melanin is super special because it acts as a semiconductor. It can conduct electricity under certain conditions, and this property has caught people's attention who are considering melanin as a potential material for implantable bioelectronic devices. You can imagine a world where we'll use melanin to create cutting-edge devices capable of treating diseases. Dr. Raven, how do we get this melanin? Where that melanin coming from? A lot of people think that we actually getting this from people. One, no, we're not getting this from people. The actual conventional approaches for isolating melanin include getting them from natural sources like octopus ink. Y'all know when the octopus get all scared and they run away and they squirt ink? That ink is black because it has melanin in it. That is black ink. We can get melanin from types of fungus. We can get melanin from types of bacteria. There's melanin all around us. It's actually very inconvenient to try to extract melanin from human tissue. I honestly hope that this inspires people to become scientists so that we can continue exploring all of these molecular discoveries. I mean, we're talking about a molecule that we're looking at every day. It's what makes us look like this, and we're still learning about all of its amazing features.
This marks the potential start of a third world war, and we will soon be hit.
So, okay, so Kwame is sending me some information about movies, I believe. So if you have any questions or comments, feel free to write them in on Facebook and Blog Talk. And I'm gonna bring in some music. I don't see, let's see. I don't see Naima. Naima's actually doing commercials on the Female Solution platform. And she says she has the sound on YouTube playing through her phone, connections on Blog, so the Blog Talk listeners can hear the YouTube videos. So the Blog Talk listeners in the Female Solution can hear the YouTube video, but in my Blog Talk studio, I don't think anyone can hear. Let me just check on, let's see if anyone is in. Let's see. Kwame, can you hear me? Your mic is open. Okay, I opened up Kwame's mic in Blog Talk. And let's see, Mama AZ, your mic is open. Can you hear me? That is exactly. Kwame is on the phone. For those of you in YouTube and Facebook, Kwame's on the phone, and he sent me the video that I watched. That's actually what motivated me to do this show. Is Bruce Lipton was talking about the power of melanin as a crystal, I believe, and I think Kwame, yes, you've talked about that in the past. Kwame disappeared. Where'd you go? I can hear you now. Yeah, Kwame is. I don't know if people in YouTube can hear you though, or Facebook. That's the problem I have with not with using Direct Connect. I had to use that because it wouldn't take my PIN number on my phone. So the second best thing to do. Yeah, that I don't know if that'll help either, because my you the problem is my YouTube family and Facebook family cannot hear. I don't think anybody can hear you in Facebook. That's why this is a real challenge tonight, because the connection, there's a disconnect tonight between YouTube and Facebook, and between Blog Talk Radio. Blog Talk Radio once again has a glitch going on, and that's the and yeah. So I've got, in fact, I've got Washita Wellness Center saying they can't hear you, Kwame, but I can hear you. So if you want to go ahead and make your comment, and then I'll share with them what you're saying. Right, right. Um, what Kwame, for those of you who can't hear Kwame, he's also confirming what we saw earlier with the Chernobyl incident, and what was happening with the dark fungus growing in a radiated plant, power plant, black mold. But in that black mold was melanin, which was surprising and to the scientists. So I want to just play for my YouTube family this beautiful video about how mushrooms clean up the planet and other fungi powers, because that's what we're talking about, the connection between melanin, fungus, mushrooms, and how the creator and the universe is just so awesome to give us some of the things that we are afraid of, or that some of the things that our society has put fear in us about, like, be afraid of germs, the germ theory versus the terrain theory. And when we come back, I want to talk about that a little bit, because my grandson said something that was so crazy. Or he's developing a fear of germs, which is what our society and our government and the medical system talks about in terms of the germ theory versus the terrain theory. And when you look at fungus like this, you begin to appreciate fungus, not be afraid of it, because mushrooms and fungus are here to bless us, not curse us. So take a look at this audio about how mushrooms clean up the planet.
Essential for the cycle of life. Fungi.
The fungi kingdom had a decisive role in the evolution of life, and it's not just in the previous time, but even in current time.
They degrade almost everything, sponge up some of the most hazardous pollutants, and can even create entirely new materials. They are strange and magical in ways you would never imagine. So could they potentially help to clean up the mess on our planet and become the building blocks of our future? But first of all, what are mushrooms actually? Let's explore their hidden existence. The mushrooms you put in your risotto, you see on your rotten veggies or find in the forest are equivalent to the tip of an iceberg. They are their own realm, different to animals and plants. Their secret life evolved over 1 billion years ago, and during evolution, fungi became the trailblazers of life as we know it. Mining nutrients from rocks and providing them to plants millions of years ago, they help plants to grow and produce oxygen, making our lives today possible. Within a couple of 100 million years, these microscopic life forms developed into real giants. On the Arab Peninsula, archaeologists found a fossil they initially thought was a tree. It turned out it was actually an 8-meter-high mushroom that grew 500 million years ago. However, the mushrooms we see on the surface is only the fruit of something much more vast. The real magic happens beneath the surface, where the mycelium, the root-like web of the fungi, mostly grows. It is the largest known organism on the planet. The mycelium of the humongous fungus in Oregon spreads through an area of 9 square kilometers and is estimated to be up to 8,650 years old. Fungi are among the few organisms on the planet that can significantly break down lignin, a component in wood cells, but also present in fruits and any kind of tree or plant that decays after dying.
So if in the environment that would accumulate, that would be detrimental, then the nutrients would not be available to the plants again, or to any other life form in the soil. So it's absolutely essential that there is someone who can degrade that fraction.
Erika Kote is a mycologist at the University of Jena in Germany. She's investigating the symbiosis between plants and fungi. Fungi are essential to keep our soils healthy, and scientists are just beginning to explore their amazing abilities.
So if fungi can help in the decomposition of a living thing, which is more complex than any organic compound, then this same set of organisms can also help in breaking down any organic pollutants in the environment.
Udeme Dixon lectures in analytical environmental chemistry at the University of Reading in the UK. He's looking into how fungi could potentially help clear land of oil pollution.
We have a lot of studies which has proved that toxic substances have been degraded by fungi.
Some 44,000 oil fields worldwide, illegal extraction and leaks in refineries and oil pipelines have led to an estimated 5 million oil-contaminated sites worldwide. Fuels and crude oil contain a wide range of pollutants, among them polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, or PAHs, one of the most worrying pollutants of our age. They kill flora and fauna, damage organs, and can cause cancer in humans and animals. Back in 1998, scientists had already found that mushrooms do grow on heavily oil-contaminated soils. In this case, oyster mushrooms. After 8 weeks, the total amount of contaminants in the soil plummeted by 99%, with PAHs also broken down into less toxic substances. But just how do fungi function? Well, organic pollutants like fuel oils originate from dead organic matter. So fungi degrade them with the same enzyme they degrade wood and leaves. Contaminants are chopped into smaller compounds which are less harmful or not dangerous at all, so they can become part of the nutrient cycle again. Some are degraded to CO2 or water.
The concept of introducing, going back to organisms which naturally perform the role of degradation and using them to degrade and wipe out pollutants in the environment is a very promising route.
But it doesn't end with organic matter. Fungi can also treat soils contaminated with arsenic, lead, and mercury from mining operations, or even radioactive elements. In 1986, a nuclear reactor meltdown and explosion in Chernobyl spread devastating radioactive contamination, making the region uninhabitable to this day. In a trial near the nuclear reactor, Erika Kote used fungi together with host plants.
We could show that strontium, which is even a radioactive element, half of the bioavailable strontium could be taken up by the sunflower in the growth period of 12 weeks.
Later, the plants can be cut down, burnt, and the strontium-enriched ashes can be stored more safely. The soil is left significantly cleaner. What the fungi do here is change the mobility of the elements, fixing them in the soil, absorbing them, or helping plants to take them up. Samples taken to a Russian industrial site showed that fungi accumulated up to 40 times more nickel and copper than the soil they were growing in. So we might already be holding the solutions for heavily polluted soil in our hands. But as promising as some experiments are, many also fail.
That means I have 10 different experimental setups, and it went well in 7 and it didn't go well in 3, or the other way around. So what should I do? I cannot put that as a basis of putting into action real remediation schemes as an authority.
Treating soils with fungi is feasible in rather small areas. It's cheaper and more eco-friendly than conventional methods removing and burning it. It's not an easy method though, especially in entire forests or mining regions. Ecosystems are unique, and translocated fungi from another area do not necessarily grow in them. Promoting local species that can do the job would be key, but this takes time and patience. Of course, fungi can also decompose any organic waste from agriculture and the food industry. So what about using their power to degrade organic matter to build the blocks of our future? Like building a home made of mushrooms. No, we're not talking about moldy walls and cellars, and not about living like the Smurfs do in the TV series either. Well, maybe. It might sound strange, but in 2014, architectural team The Living built this 12-meter high tower in the city of New York. But not with stone, bricks, or concrete. Yes, you guessed it, they used 10,000 bricks made of mycelium.
They're very inexpensive to produce. They can be kind of grown and fabricated in almost any conditions, so they don't need specialized equipment. And then when you actually put these bricks out into the world, they're very strong, especially for their weight, but they're a lightweight brick.
David Benjamin headed the project and is Associate Professor for Sustainable Architecture at Columbia University. The production of materials like concrete and steel for construction are responsible for roughly 10% of the world's carbon dioxide emissions. You might want to watch a video we did how the global construction industry is fueling a sand shortage and works with mafia-like structures. On the other hand, crop residues all around the world are often burned. In Delhi, for example, in winter, this contributes significantly to the city's air pollution. This is the alternative. For the tower, crop residues from cornfields were seeded with a fungus which feeds on them. Placed in a mold, the fungus mycelium colonized it entirely within a week, eating up all the agricultural waste. It dries into a solid brick form, creating a new and low-carbon building material. It's not flammable, and its insulation properties are extremely good. It doesn't only match some concrete's capabilities, but also those of polystyrene and plastic, which are standard. The bricks simply rot when the house is pulled down.
I can imagine scenarios where people all over the world, sometimes in resource-constrained environments, are growing their own bricks. It's totally viable.
The bricks aren't as firm as concrete. However, by combining the mycelium with other compostable materials like bamboo and designing a framework to distribute stresses evenly, scientists from the University of Karlsruhe showed that concrete's advantage can be mitigated.
One of its biggest challenges is durability, because this is a material where if it gets damaged or cut, it has the potential to absorb moisture.
That means to make it a realistic approach for housing, future homes would need different layers, using our mushroom bricks as the core of a wall, but protecting them from moisture damage from the outside. Okay, the mycelium bricks aren't firm enough to build a skyscraper yet, but for low-rise buildings, they could actually work. The idea of fungus housing is still at an early stage, with examples more likely to be seen at art exhibitions than in neighborhoods. But the potential is huge. Fungus thrives in almost every region and any climate. And with our growing population, the need for affordable and sustainable housing is growing as well. Fungus bricks could become a local and easy means of answering these demands. With accelerating climate change and pollution putting increasing pressure on our ecosystems, methods to tackle its degradation are becoming more urgent than ever. In one way or the other, fungi will play a decisive role here. They are essential to the health of our planet. We just need to make use of their secret powers.
So I'm going to go ahead and open up the mic, Naima Latif's mic, because she's got people in her studio who are waiting to speak, I believe. So Naima, can you hear me? I wish everybody could hear everybody else, but that's not happening tonight. So they can only, my YouTube audience and my Facebook audience can only hear my voice and the voice of the videos I play, but they cannot hear people in the Blog Talk studio. But I'm gonna, let's see what happens. Yes, Brother Eddie. Go ahead. Okay, I'm gonna Eddie, Brother Eddie, I'm gonna translate for my YouTube audience. So just if you could just pause after you speak, I'm gonna translate for those who can't hear you in YouTube and Facebook. How's that? So Eddie, Brother Eddie Harris, our our numbers guy is in the Blog Talk studio, and I'm gonna just repeat what he's saying so that all of you who have joined me in Facebook and YouTube can also hear his message because he's one of our teachers every night. He and anyone who shows up who wants the mic opened, I consider them to be a teacher. So go ahead, Eddie. So we're looking at the number 8. Okay, so let me just say that for those of you in YouTube and Facebook, Brother Eddie says the title of the show tonight, Magic and Power of Melanin, comes to an 8. Those letters actually add up to an 8. So we are in order for this January 21st, 24, which is a 3. And we're in unity, and we're rolling along with the universe and the cosmic energy of numbers. So go ahead, Eddie. Magic comes to 17. Mushrooms 35, which is an 8. Okay. 8. Melanin is 16, which is a 7. Hallelujah. Magic mushrooms comes to a 7. So you know what comes to mind, that mushrooms should be in the diet of every melanin rich person to enhance their power and their physical being. What do you say? Hallelujah. Well, and thank you, Brother Eddie. And as I said at the beginning of the show, there I see a lot of melanin rich people who are not living their powerful magic that melanin represents. I don't have as much melanin. My dad had a very, if you can see my dad behind me, beautiful dark, lots of melanin in his blood and his skin. My mother had less melanin, and so I'm kind of in the middle. But those I see lots of people when I'm out and shopping, driving, who have that rich melanin magic and power, and they're not living up to their power and their magic. In my view, they're either depressed, sad, or wearing blonde wigs, and it's like, blah, blah, blah. And you can just see the lack of power that is not being displayed there. But anyway, I'm hoping my intention tonight is to bring all of us. All of us have some melanin in our blood, some more than others, but to especially bring my brothers and sisters who have more melanin, who have darker skin, to a new level of empowerment and magical feeling and excitement and joy that you've been given this special gift. And we are here to support one another in this journey. So I'm going to thank you, Brother Eddie, for the numbers. Melanin, it is enhanced by the mushrooms. And guess what, folks? Tonight, Eddie is saying the numbers are enhanced by the melanin and the mushrooms. And so we're on this amazing journey that just keeps connecting us to nature and the energy that melanin, mushrooms, and all of nature brings to us. So thank you, Eddie. And Naima, we said we had another caller, 314 on the line. No, Chernobyl. If you mold, which is a fungus, a type of fungus. But if you heard the beginning of the show, maybe remember in 1986, Chernobyl plant in Ukraine had an explosion. It was a nuclear power plant that exploded, released all large amounts of radiation. And 3 years later, Bruce Lipton reported that they found melanin rich mold in the power plant that was living. And they were just shocked that there was so much mold. They didn't think anything would live in that environment. But they're discovering how mold is a powerful fungus that has melanin in it, which has lots of benefit. In fact, the soil, it turns out the soil was greatly enriched from that mold that developed after that explosion. Yeah, thank you. And okay, so again, the radiation is playing with the mold, and the melanin is included. We're talking about this energy that's flowing and circulating. And even in the case of Chernobyl, where they thought all that radiation would destroy, it actually made fungus, the part of your microbiome, part of the ecosystem, flourish. Okay, so who would have thought that the mold would flourish in that situation? What's that? Yeah, thank you for sharing that. And Kwame, your mic is open. If you wanted to comment, you were asking me. No, you're not muted. And then let me read a comment from Craig. This is interesting. Craig must be listening on. I hope you're listening on the phone. Craig says because our coding collectively has been compromised by a foreign body, hence the depression and clinical and psychological issues which didn't exist not that long ago. And early eugenicists sought to crack the code, the God force, and they unfortunately succeeded. It's why me and Kwame need so much ceremony. Okay, and Kwame, you can comment on that if you like. He's also saying we never committed infanticide, patricide, genocide. Melanin gave us a safety switch, certain lines we'd never cross. And we learned about it all in the ISIS papers by Dr. Frances Welsing. Yes, she also wrote about melanin. Yes, she did. And then can't hear callers who call on block. Thank you, Tassila. Tassila, yes, go ahead. Go ahead. Thank you, Tassila. Call in because we're having a disconnect problem with Blog Talk and Facebook. Go ahead. Yes, 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 Yes. So yeah, isn't it beautiful how the sun, the radiation, and all of this is working for our good? Just when we have these disasters that show up, and I'm hoping that the Gaza situation is going to be able to be rebuilt with fungus and the elements in nature that people think have been destroyed actually might be the very things that are going to help rebuild those communities that have been destroyed, these Zionists. Yeah, beautifully stated, Brother Kwame, because we are here to do the work of transitioning from third dimension to fourth and fifth and a new paradigm. This is all of the things that are happening on this planet right now are for our good. That's why we can come out of this duality that things are good, bad, wrong, and right. Because if we are looking at it consciously and connecting the magic and power of melanin and mushrooms and the destruction of war, it's all going to turn out to be pretty amazing, I think, if we just stay focused on what is the transition is all about. New paradigm, new dimension, all of this is, and there has to be the Chernobyls and all these things have to happen so we can remember. We can remember. Yes, 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 absolutely. I haven't heard so much about mushrooms in the past year. In the from since for the last 10 or 15 years, I've heard more about people using mushrooms as you just said, to rewire the brain and the nervous system. It is just the perfect time to educate ourselves about mushrooms, fungus, melanin, and then to walk in that power. Mama AZ, your mic is open. Did you have your hand up again? We only have about 10 minutes left. Is your mic? Go ahead. Yes, ma'am. Go ahead. Thank you for that testimony, because that's what is going on in a lot of men and women. They're looking at the power from that skin color that's represented in male or female, doesn't matter. But there that goes. Thank you. That's an honest testimony about how we are. Some people are attracted to men or women of a darker skin. I see a lot of European men marrying dark women these days. It's like on Facebook, no, especially on TikTok. TikTok is full of videos with these European men who have hooked up with these dark women, dark skinned women, and vice versa. So it really is interesting to watch all of these interplays of energy, relationships, and wondering what's going on here, relationship wise or whatever. In the meantime, we only have a few minutes left, and I'm going to play the trailer for the fantastic. Kwame sent me the trailer for the fantastic fungi. If you've never seen this, you should really go to Netflix and watch this documentary. It is totally fascinating how he describes how the mushrooms are connected to the whole underground. It's like a internet of underground wiring system with mushrooms leading the way. So here's a audio. I am so excited to see all these comments about the love for mushrooms. So for those of you in Blog Talk who are not on Facebook, let me just read these beautiful comments to show how much harmony we have here tonight. Washita Wellness Center. It's like mushrooms, 88888. I love that. Those pictures are beautiful. There are mushrooms that eat plastic from our waters. Yes, yes, yes. So glad you brought that up. I was going to play a video, in fact, but I lost it somehow in the confusion with the connection. Yes, they're talking about using mushrooms to clean up all the plastic that we waste in the planet. I get so frustrated when I go pick up trash in the neighborhood, all the plastic that people are throwing on the ground. But there's a solution. It's in mushrooms. It's mushrooms. And Washita Wellness Center said mushrooms are plant ancestors, like ancestors, I guess. And he says, I love to eat them and microdosing. That's what I am looking forward to, experimenting with therapeutic mushrooms. That's on my to-do list because I've heard so much about how it helps us to balance our neurological system, our brain, the whole vagus nerve, everything comes into balance more. We get a lot of therapy from therapeutic mushrooms. And Washita says, I am from the mushroom planet. I think I might be too. I think we got something going on here, a love relationship with them from the mushroom planet. Yes, I love to eat them and microdosing. Yes. So I'm excited, all this love. So that just confirms what Eddie shared with us about the numbers, that we are all so in unity, so in alignment with the Creator's message tonight, that we pay attention to the mushroom family for our nourishment, for our healing, for therapy, and that we take our magic and power in all this melanin that's in our skin and our blood tonight, and go forth tomorrow with a new attitude about your beautiful, beautiful dark skin and the knowledge and wisdom that we gain when we can't hear Kwame. That sucks. Oh no, you have to call in. I put the number on for you to call in. Somebody was disappointed they couldn't hear Kwame. I'm in YouTube and I can't hear. I'm in YouTube and I can't hear. Yeah, you got to call in to hear Brother Kwame. But we're gonna Brother Kwame is always with the Female Solution. He's part of our family, along with Mama AZ and anyone else. We encourage you to call in to our Female Solution, 515-605-9325. And there's also a number, another altar number. Naima, if you can type that in the Facebook comments, the other number, I'd appreciate it. So people can call that that's our alternative number, and we have to use it these days because Blog Talk, once again, they still haven't fixed us all their problems. We have days where we have perfect transmission connection with Blog Talk, and then boom, one day things don't go right. But I'm just so grateful for all of you who hung in here with me tonight and who have this message to go to run with for the rest of the week if you want. And you can always send people to my YouTube channel and my Facebook, Viata or Soul Purpose Healing, to get this message. And I'll have to maybe repeat. On Air Radio Network, the number is 727-731-5192. That's our alternative number, and I'm gonna have to start posting that number along with Blog Talk, because I know we have regular Blog Talk callers, but on air. And I did oh my goodness, I did a virtual thing today with Asada, our new female solution host. And I realized that my grandchildren are already in this meta universe. They're already doing that on their, but it's not called meta universe. It's called something else. But they already got the avatars moving around in different rooms and building things. So we got to keep up with the technology and our youth. And that's what this is all about tonight, is to share with our youth, who are the focus of our education now as we go into the new paradigm and a new dimension. Bring the youth up, learn from the youth, and help them, support them in their journey to be more than they could ever be, because we have all this knowledge and all this technology that we can share and come together as a collective conscious community. Mwah! I love you all. So thank you so much. And I'm going to play our farewell greeting. Yeah, I think you can hear, at least you'll be able to hear it in the Blog Talk studio. And everybody come back tomorrow morning for Zelda's Monday morning mindfulness. So have a great week. Walk in your magic and power and get more mushrooms. And thank you all. Have a great week. I say namaste and shalom and satnam. God bless.